legislation. In a democratic republic, the way that you fix problems is you have open discussions of the details of those problems, and then you try to craft regulatory or legal fixes. You do not say that it is a good thing that CEOs should live in fear of their lives because Bill Burr deems them morally inferior. Bill Burr doing his blue-collar class routine act.
Target CEOs revealing the chilling manifesto of health insurance boss killer. Enough is enough. Jury rejects DA Bragg's indictment of a man persecuted who protected subway riders. Hero, villain, hero, villain. Just remember that, okay? Make sure everyone knows.
Well, I think that's a reflection of that clown culture that we just talked about in the intro. It's a reflection of the horrible legacy and ruination of the criminal justice system by Alvin Bragg, and also a reflection of MSNBC that provides a platform for those extremist viewpoints. Look, if you are an employer, if you are a boss, if you are a teacher, if you are in charge of admissions anywhere in this country right now, check your employees, check your children, check the social media of anyone over which you have control of their employment, their education, their influence, to see if that they have participated.
Weird. It kind of sounds like you want to do a cancel culture. It kind of sounds like you want people who are using their own personal social media accounts to talk about, potential thirsting to get fired from their jobs. Wasn't this just a year ago the thing that all of you are rallying against? Being like, and now, because we live in woke, apparently it's okay for employers to go through your social media history, and if they find one objectionable thing, like the 10,000 times I used to say the N-word like a year ago, then apparently they can get you fired from your job. This is, again, a complete form of censorship. This is the Gestapo. This is, them trying to enact 1984 in real time. And by the way, in this case, totally different. Absolutely different. If you find out that any of the people who you have control over the social media, go through it right now, check their emails, go through their social media accounts. If any of them even say that this person is a little bit sexy, make sure you get them fired.
In the online hailing of an alleged murderer, because that is sickening. And the whole point is, don't give it oxygen. Right? If you want to make jokes on your private time, fine, do whatever. I don't need to see people's private texts on a late night show.
Weird. It kind of sounds like you want people to do that, though.
Proclaiming to be funny. But what I do need to see is a celebration of life, of a man whose life was taken from us by a horrible murderer, no matter who he was. And I need to see there be some accountability in the media for those voices instead of providing oxygen.
Celebration of life for the healthcare CEO.
The suspect in the killing of United Healthcare CEO struggled with deputies and shouted today while arriving for a court appearance in Pennsylvania, a day after he was arrested at a McDonald's and charged with murder. Luigi Mangione emerged from a patrol car, spun toward reporters, and shouted something partly unintelligible, referring to an insult to the intelligence of the American people.
You see the spin that's already happening and the attempt? Because I've seen it all over the media already. I was like, well, they're going to have to try to do everything they can to try and put on the brakes. Because, the world is just running wild with the story right now. People, again, are just getting way too horny. It's out of control. It's reaching levels that they never thought. There is no bonk stick large enough to kind of, cool the jets on this one. So they've got to start adding things, right? Like, apparently he was not a good person. I've seen 10,000 stories pop up in the last, 24 hours. There's a story that was talking about how his landlord was saying that because of his back injury, he was unable to have sexual contact. And then I was like, why does the landlord know that? Was the landlord trying to fuck him? Why did they interview the landlord? The landlord would have said something to that effect. Again, that seems weird. That's a strange thing. Well, that unintelligible statement that he was just referring to, by the way, was not unintelligible. It was actually quite clear. He said that this was an insult to the intelligence of the American people. And again, one of those ones where as soon as he said it out loud, you could see how quickly the police were like, "No, my God, push him in. Wait, watch out how you hold him. Don't make him look sexier. God damn it, he looks sexier. Get him in there."
Completely out of touch and insult the intelligence of the American people.
Luigi Mangione struggled to get a message out before being taken into a Pennsylvania courthouse for his extradition hearing. He came out calmer even as he was denied bail. Mangione is contesting an extradition order to send him to New York to face 5 charges, including second-degree murder for gunning down United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson on a sidewalk in Midtown Manhattan.
Where do I go?
Mangione's lawyer said his client plans to plead not guilty to that and the weapons charges he's facing in Pennsylvania.
I haven't seen any evidence that says that he's the shooter.
But prosecutors disagree. When he was arrested Monday at a McDonald's, he had a gun, a silencer, and a 3-page manifesto criticizing the healthcare industry, writing these parasites had it coming. This image of an angry young man railing against the system is baffling to those who knew Mangione, an Ivy League graduate from a wealthy Baltimore family who was also the high school valedictorian.
The class of 2016 has been coming up with new ideas and challenging the world around it.
I can tell you that this is one of the last people you'd think would do something like this. You know, he was one of the nicest kids, most friendly kids that I had known at Gilman.
Some hints of trouble.
It doesn't tell us anything about being well educated. Well, you can see the narratives that have already been trying to push, right? He's Ivy League. He came from a privileged background. He was, very successful in the areas of tech and stuff like that. He apparently had done a book review for a book by Theodore Kaczynski. They've come out with a lot of different narratives, and they're trying to paint him in a lot of different lights. In the event that he turned out to be someone who had had his own horrifying experiences with the private insurance healthcare industry, and that seems to be what this is all pointing towards, including his own words, including the fact that apparently he had elderly relatives that had nightmares with the system. He himself may have had a back injury that resulted in nightmares with the system. It would point towards a couple things. One being that obviously there doesn't really sometimes matter if you come from a position of privilege in the United States. Even if you have a wealthy family, you could still be fucked over by the private health insurance companies and their predatory nature. That's one of the two. He could be a class traitor who went through a situation like that, and it radicalized him. I think because we are again dealing with someone who the media is wholly unequipped to try and analyze. They want a very simple narrative. Can we put it in one of two directions? Was he a right-winger? Was he a left-winger? Is this a Antifa super soldier who had been recruited by reading the Communist Manifesto just one time, and that radicalized him into committing an act of violence, as the Tim Pools of the world are trying to paint it? Is it a right-winger extremist who had been going down the rabbit hole of far-right radicalization by watching a lot of different content? It seems like he was a consumer of right-wing channels. He had retweeted Peter Thiel at one point. He watched Tucker. He listened to Joe Rogan, for example. You can point towards that. He made fun of Jordan Peterson. There's some of the manosphere things. There's the really weird rant about fleshlights and all that kind of stuff concerning birth rates in Japan. But I think less important at this point than his social media posts in their totality is absolutely what this has kind of demonstrated, which is a deep and profound disgust that Americans have with the private healthcare industry. And that is one that the media now is really trying to put the brakes on. Because it's one thing that the thirsting and the unbelievable thirsting and the fact that it just keeps getting magnified every single day, it seems like. There's nothing really they can do about that outside of trying to post the one frame photo where he looks a little dangerous, because it's just look how angry he is, look how deranged he's become, and this is your hero, this is your folk hero.
In Mangione's life, he stopped communicating with family about 6 months ago and was dealing with back issues. That he shared with a recent roommate in Hawaii.
I knew he was going to have a surgery, so earlier this year I checked in with him. He confirmed that he had surgery, and he sent me the x-rays. It looked heinous, with just giant screws going into his spine.
These are the latest photos released of Mangione, including one moments before his arrest in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Maybe not the man his friends knew, but exactly who police were looking for.
Just from what we saw in the media with photos, videos, we just didn't even think twice about it. We knew that was our guy.
Mangione now has 2 weeks to contest his extradition, and a judge will decide if and when he'll be sent back to New York.
And Chris, as his case is playing out, there's still signs Mangione is gaining public support.
Absolutely. I mean, he's got a lot of defenders online. The McDonald's where he was arrested had to shut down their social media because they were flooded with bad reviews and accusations of snitching. And that's really put corporate America on high alert. Some threatening posters have been found right here in New York, including at the stock exchange, targeting other executives. In Chicago, a few businesses were hit by vandals, threatening their CEOs. Police in
That's wild. I didn't know about that. Fucking going after the McSnitch. Who's the McSnitch? Who would do this? Who would do such a thing?
Colorado sent out a warning to businesses about similar threats, and that's prompted a few big companies like Blue Shield and CVS Health to take down information on their leadership.
Counts, including the firearms charges. The tip-off from the employee is apparently crucial to the case, but the question remains if the worker will be able to cash in on the $60,000 reward after all. The rules are complicated, as they stipulate tipsters in with a chance of the FBI portion of the reward cannot nominate themselves. This means that the McDonald's worker will have to be put forward by an investigation agency, such as the Department of Defense or the FBI, which is then reviewed by the Interagency Committee. If approved, the suggestion is then passed on to the Secretary of State, who signs off on the final decision. If that's not tough enough, the full reward amount could also be in dispute, as payments amounts are based on factors from the value of the information provided, the level of threat, the severity of danger or injury to people or property, and the degree of the source's cooperation. As for the NYPD's 10K, the rewards program is granted through Crime Stoppers, where tipsters receive unique reference numbers. This number is crucial, as the tipster has to use it to call back or check the status of the investigation online before lodging a claim with the NYC Police Foundation and the Crime Stoppers Board of Directors, who ultimately decide whether to approve the tip and instruct the caller on how to receive it. So if the informant called 911 instead of Crime Stoppers, they might be unable to make the claim.
Clean up your room.
Can you imagine going through fucking ransom bureaucracy? Hello? Yes, this is the McSnitch. I'm snitching it. Oh, sorry, you gotta be more clear. What do you mean by that? I'm the one who turned in Waluigi, you know, Mario's friend. I don't know how much more clear I can be about this. Like, and then you have to be able to be like, oh, okay, so what's your reference number? What number did you get when you originally called Crime Stoppers? Didn't call Crime Stoppers. Yeah, I was in a rush, but called 911. Oh, yeah. I mean, good for you. Bravo. You've done great work. You really helped out the NYPD. You helped them do their job. But yeah, unfortunately, that doesn't make you eligible for the reward money. Hey, you
solidarity with the pro-Hamas students on campus. And now he is proclaiming that he is very happy that CEOs are walking around in fear for their lives. Okay, now, you do get some extra points for being a comedian in today's day and age, meaning that we'll tend to give you some more leeway to say edgy things, because you're trying to be funny. And it's not clear to me here that Bill Burr is attempting to be funny. This is just his actual political opinion. He's not saying anything funny or insightful here. Here is Bill Burr yesterday.
What do you mean you get extra points? What, if you're racist? Do you have like a scorecard? Yeah, okay, well, you did call them, stuck-up bitches. That one's pretty cool, so you get a couple sexism points. And yeah, you did say that they're lazy, so that one's good. A little racism there, so you get points for that. Yeah, your edgy score is increasing.
Explaining that he is perfectly fine with CEOs having to live with full-time security because they fear they might be shot, because, after all, they're murderers too. I don't believe that Bill Burr holds the same standard for comedians. There's an argument that's been made by the left. It is a crap argument when made about comedians, and it's a crap argument when made about CEOs. The argument goes something like this on the left. People like Bill Burr mock the vulnerable. They mock the marginalized, and thus they are a danger to the vulnerable and the marginalized. So presumably, Bill Burr should have to live in fear of making a joke. Bill Burr...
Sorry, what? Like, why don't you learn your enemy? I assume if you hate the left as much as you say you do, you may have listened to a single... what? Because Bill Burr mocks the vulnerable, he must live in perpetual danger. Because you never know. You never know when Waluigi's around the corner, and then you get got. So be careful, Bill. Be careful before you make your jokes. Your jokes hurt. They're swords. They sting. And it's like, okay, well, I think what he's trying to refer to is the fact that most leftists will say, You know how comedians today, they happen to be like the biggest snowflakes in entertainment. I don't know what happened, okay? Back in the day, they were transformative. They were the truth tellers. They were brave as fucking... Lenny Bruce, for example, is an example of someone who in like 1961 was arrested twice for trying to tell jokes in comedy clubs because his belief was, if I don't have the ability to tell jokes and I get arrested for indecency, when I do, I won't be able to question the powerful and they will have power over me. The same thing happened to George Carlin, who had an entire routine based around the 7 words you couldn't say on television, and one time he did get arrested for, again, using those words in a comedy setup special. There's a number of black comedians who'd use their platforms, for example, to talk about all of the systemic oppression and injustices that they had faced in their community in the most hilarious fucking ways. I highly recommend anyone who isn't caught up on, like, the Def Jam comedy DVDs and collections to start going through those and then, listen to the catalog. But in the same way you can hear conscious hip-hop artists, talk about issues like that, you too could find it in comedians. There was bravery in that. And now we've come to a point where all of these fucking Andrew Schultz, Joe Rogan motherfuckers are multimillionaires with huge platforms, their own fucking shows, podcasts, media empires, and they just sit there complaining all day about how they can't say anything to everyone on their own shows. I mean, you can't really say things anymore, I said out loud, for millions of dollars, or they'll cancel you. The woke will come, you can't say anything anymore. Yeah. Hey, what, are you triggered? Are you triggered? Huh? Libs? Because I'm a comedian? Can't even tell jokes anymore? Like, it sucks. It's brutal. It's sad to watch. I'm a huge fan of comedy. I'm a huge fan of, like, the history of comedy, and I find it really depressing that comedians became the snowflakes. It seems like every comedian these days, too, it's like... cancel culture is out of control. I'm unable to say what I need to say as I'm on my 14th fucking transphobic Netflix special for, $60 million. Yeah. It's like people who make up 0.7% of the population, but like 80% of stand-up comedy routines these days, where all they do is, yes, punch down. It's all they're doing is punching down. I mean, Ricky Gervais, he thinks he's like sophisticated in how he punches down. I've watched his specials. He spends half the time being like, just so you all know, I understand the terms. I know what dead naming is. All right. I understand these terms. I understand why they can be harmful, but it's hard. It's hard to do. And so I'm going to do a whole joke, about Caitlyn Jenner. I'm going to do a whole routine about it. And I'm going to now do all these jokes about it, about how hard it is for me as a cis guy to have to follow all these rules. It's really a struggle. And then I'm like, who being trans is hard for? Trans people. I assume it's got to be a lot harder, especially when there's assholes like Ricky Gervais making millions of dollars with these fucking tired, low-hanging fruit-ass jokes, just the same shit over and over and over again, where you're just sitting there like, oh, yeah, hilarious. Yeah, no, she had what? A penis? Yeah, another penis joke. It's so funny. Oh, pronouns. What are your pronouns? Are they not traditional pronouns? What a surprise. They're not actual pronouns. They're different words. That's funny. Yeah, attack helicopter. Brilliant. Here we go. Oh, and then at the end, if you were to criticize them, the thing that they're doing to an entire group of people who are already marginalized in society, suddenly it's like, oh, what, are you canceling me? I'm sorry. I can't tell a joke. I can't be edgy. Not allowed to be edgy without all of you woke snowflakes melting down before me. And then it's like, Jesus Christ, this is so fucking sad. So sad to see. I don't know if you all saw in Kendrick's new album, in Waxed Out Murals, first track, he's got a line that basically talks about how no white comedian can talk about no black woman, that's law. And Andrew Schultz, who happens to just be a racist, low-hanging fruit asshole comedian, thought that was about him. Could be about him. Could also be about the people who Andrew Schultz was talking to at the time when he was making all of his racist jokes towards black women. Might be another part of the story that's not often talked about. The fact that there's other men in the room who just sit by and laugh at his racist jokes towards black women instead of standing up for black women. That could also be what it's about. Could be about none of them. Because again, he's not mentioned by name. But holy fuck, is that guy ever a snowflake? triggered as fuck, melting down now, just constantly whining about it, complaining about it, going on Charlemagne the God show, being like, oh, what the fuck, apparently you can't make fun of black women. You mean like all of hip-hop music has been doing as long as I've been alive? Oh, what the fuck, apparently Kendrick's doing like a collaboration with Matt Stone and Trey Parker. You think South Park's never made fun of black women? Is that okay? What are the rules? I just want to know. And it's like, it's pretty weird to see that people who just complain all day about cancel culture, people who complain all day about this shit, constantly just like fucking beaking off, flapping their lips, they're the ones who are so soft. They can't take criticism. There's a huge difference. I don't give a fuck about Andrew Schultz. I don't listen to him. I think like all the guy does, because I've watched a handful now of the clips of him, all he does is work a crowd by basically asking what race someone is, who's like either a heckler or someone in the audience. He's like, hey, buddy, hey, are you being like an annoying black dude or something? And then the guy will be like, I'm not black. He's like, oh, well, what are you, buddy? I'm from Pakistan. Oh, you're from Pakistan, eh? Well, at least this is in India, huh? How about you? You look black. Are you black? I'm from Somalia. You're from Somalia. Well, I got a Captain Phillips joke for you. Yeah, there you go. It's like he's got a dialogue tree where all he knows is basically stereotypes. And what he'll do is he has to find out what race or ethnicity someone belongs to. Once he figures that out, he just then has a little list of things that he can make fun of them for. He's like, oh, where are you from? I'm from Korea. You're from Korea? Bet you can't drive right. That was one of the options in the racist dialogue tree. I had 3 or 4 options there, and I picked that one, and that's the one I'm going with now, because I'm edgy. And if you criticize me, you call this shit lazy or racist or anything like that, well, then you're just trying to cancel me. Then that's what this is, you know? You're just a triggered snowflake, unable to be able to handle the truth bombs that I'm dropping. And again, the shit is lazy, okay? So that rant basically was to answer what Ben was talking about.
Should have to live in fear because he doesn't know who he's damaging. In any case, here is Bill Burr openly cheering the murder of a United Health executive because he says CEOs should live in fear if they don't act in the way that he would have them act in a system that he has no fixes for, by the way.
You know what's annoying me about this kid who killed this CEO is none of these news programs are talking about the incredible lack of empathy from the general public about this because of how these insurance companies treat people when they are at their most vulnerable, after we've all given them our money every month and now we finally need you and all you do is deny us. And then all of these things are taking the pictures of their CEOs off their websites. You know, I got to be honest with you, okay? I love that CEOs are afraid right now. You should be. By and large, you're all a bunch of selfish, greedy pieces of shit, and a lot of you are mass murderers. You just don't pull the trigger. That's why it looks clean. That's why these people look, oh my God, oh, he was just, walking into a hotel. It's like, okay, but what was his job? What did he do? What was the results of it?
Okay, Bill Burr is a piece of. Okay, well, what he is saying here is.
Did you say he's awesome and a major hit? It was hard to tell. They cut him out, but it sounds like that's what Ben was saying. He's awesome and he's a major hit. That's what I'm going with.
Truly evil. He's truly evil. He's saying you should live in fear if you're the CEO of a company and that company does things that Bill Burr deems to be bad things. Now,
so I mean, by definition, denying 32% of all the claims to their clients, who again, these are their clients, so people who had been paying monthly amounts of money every single month. Think of it like a rent almost, to have health insurance, or their employer was doing the same. Their employer was paying the company on their behalf, and certainly a percentage of that is going to obviously affect their income, how much they're paid by their employer. And then at that point, when they were making claims because they needed health care, 32%, almost 1/3 of all those claims were denied. I don't know what percentage of people that could have resulted in dying. I don't know what percentage of people that resulted in becoming far more sick or going bankrupt, which again would be a profoundly strange thing to have happen when you do in fact have health insurance, right? I have coverage. I shouldn't be going bankrupt right now. Yeah, unfortunately, it's been denied. Unfortunately. But yeah, we will just be sending you a bill, and you can probably, you know, we have a payment plan as well. There's that. So the company became the 8th largest corporation in the world. I assume that wasn't through charity. That wasn't through goodwill, not through happy times. Also, the dude was a massive piece of shit, even if you take all of that away. Even if you're like, well, he actually worked for the Happy Puppy Corporation. All they do all day is just make sure that puppies are happy. That's their mandate. That's their business plan. They don't make a lot of money, but that's what he did. He was the CEO of the Happy Puppy Company. But he, unfortunately, was also an asshole outside of the actual business dealings. The fact that he had been sued by the Firefighters Pension Fund for, you know, potentially insider trading, knowing when to sell his stock specifically before an investigation was about to befall the company with, again, insider information before doing that. That again fucks over everyone else in the corporation as well, and the other shareholders, things I thought that Ben Shapiro might be angry about. You know, apparently he was just a bad dude. Now, do bad dudes deserve to be shot on the street? No, I'm not here to say murder is the solution to our problems. Again, not here to say that we should all become bat people, Batmen, Batwomen, even non-binary bat people. You know, the situation calls for it. It's not that. It's that I just don't have any fucks left to give for the worst human beings on the planet. That's about it. What happened to Dennis Prager? I don't know if anyone knows this, but like 3 weeks ago, he took a really bad spill, and then all of a sudden, he just stopped hearing about it. And like people on the internet now are like, is he dead? I don't think he's dead, but apparently he was like clinging on to life for a little while. And, you know, it's one of those situations very similar to this one where it's like, if it turns out tomorrow that Dennis Prager died, I'm not going to be sad. I'm not going to be like, well, thoughts and prayers. It's, you know, a time like this where we all have to band together and obviously condolences to the family. No, this is a man who, again, has just dedicated his entire life to vilifying minorities, to making children feel unsafe and more terrified and scared simply for existing. Profound, evil human being. And again, this is what they try to do. They try to get you to have empathy for the worst human beings on the planet. Meanwhile, the same people are the ones who are completely fine. Like, how many politicians have you seen who on one end right now are like, it's absolutely revolting and a sign of sickness in our society that people are not only celebrating the death of this CEO, but they're turning the person who shot him into some kind of a hero. Have you ever done the game where you do that and then look what they've been saying about Palestinian children? Not even sometimes the complete lack of saying anything, which again, complicity in silence kind of shit. But I'm talking about people who are just like, good. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're Hamas. No, I'm talking about the kids. Yeah, they all are. I mean, they're Hamas and sharing. It's actually a good thing. Israel has right to defend itself. It's a good thing that they are eliminating all of the terrorist threats that exist within that region, that they are cleansing them off the face of the earth. That is a good thing, yes. Thousands and thousands and thousands of children dying and or starving right now. I am okay with that. But how dare you? How dare you? You're excited that a CEO was shot. The man had a family. I'm sure he had a mother.
We have laws on the books, for example, that prevent things like fraud. Okay? We have laws on the books that prevent things like embezzlement. We have laws on the books that punish criminal activity. If you don't like the system, and many people don't, the proper response to that system would be legislation. In a democratic republic, the way that you fix problems is you have open discussions of the details of those problems, and then you try to craft regulatory or legal fixes. You do not say that it is a good thing that CEOs should live in fear of their lives because Bill Burr deems them morally inferior. Bill Burr doing his blue-collar class routine act is a bunch of horse. Bill Burr is worth $14 million, and he makes his money making crap movies for Netflix at this point. Again, this basic idea, if we're going to have a functioning country, you can't just...
I don't know. I mean, I guess he's not familiar with the stand-up, but I kind of am. And in one of his recent specials, he does talk about that very dynamic, about how he is now, in his own view, rich as fuck, and how that kind of alienates him sometimes from his ability to try and have normal conversations with other people, where they're like, so has your life changed now that you're rich? And then he's like, well, I mean, I won't lie to you, I fly first class now. But he's like, you know why? Because it's better. And I'm going to be honest with you, as someone who has been poor most of his life and now is rich, I can tell you it's fucking terrible that we do this. It's really shitty. It really fucking sucks because it's a comfortable experience. It's like, actually, oh, this is an enjoyable thing. You can actually enjoy flying in a plane. You're not crammed into the smallest possible little fucking corner there in the side, and then you're just fed fucking microwave dog food while you worry about whether or not you're going to crash the entire time. You sit there in a life of luxury as they just like fucking guzzle champagne down your gullet and give you grapes and cheese and stuff. So he's like, yeah, of course I do, because I have the money to do it. But he's like, I don't think it's right. I don't think, like, I'm gonna do it because I have the ability to do it, but I don't think it's right that we do this. Which again is like, I kind of respect that. I kind of respect people who are like, well, yeah, obviously I'm successful, so I'm going to use the success, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you that all of a sudden it's like, oh, so the world's upside down. You have to respect the people who are exploiting you. The world's upside down. You actually have to treat them as if they were heroes. You have to venerate the evil CEOs who are making your life complete and utter shit because the world's upside down. No, that's not him being like a fake blue collar stand-up comedian. It's someone who has been pretty consistent in his observations of the world and being like, I'm just going to tell you like it is. You may like it, you may hate it, but I'm just going to see it as I see it, kind of thing.
Justify the murder of people who run their businesses legally in ways with which you disagree. It is one thing to disagree with them. You can call them whatever you want. When you start justifying them living in fear or suggesting maybe they should be murdered, I'm just wondering what the limiting principle here is.
Okay, how about this? How many people at United Health, company, how many of their clients live in fear? What percentage? What number? If the number is in the thousands because they're worried about medical bankruptcy, they're worried about their claims being denied, they're worrying about dying or having family members dying or children dying, whatever that number is, can we equate that then to the CEOs? And I guess we have to use the inverse principle, right? Because CEOs make what, about 300 to 400 times the pay of their average worker. So how about in inverse? So if you have, say, I don't know, 100,000 clients who live in fear, then we multiply that by 400, and then we get the number of CEOs that justifiably could also live in fear. I mean, it is a company. Could this not work both ways? Would that be appropriate, equal? I'm using the facts here, okay?
I'm wondering what it is. The alleged shooter in this case was echoing Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. The Unabomber suggested maybe you should be murdered. Externalities to the oil industry. Why not alone? So maybe this kind of stuff. It is also Jimmy Kimmel. So Jimmy Kimmel last night decided that he would do an entire segment celebrating the good looks of the alleged shooter.
Do they all get the same notes? And do they all get the same, like, because I can tell you, as someone who works in independent leftist media, no, I don't get an email in the morning that I was like, Lance, today's talking points. First, Big Daddy Hassan will be speaking about the following things. If you want to enjoy the sweet milk of his udders, you should be talking about these same talking points. Here are the following videos that you should criticize. Here are the clips you should talk about. It's often like, I'll look over and I'll see the Majority Report found some really funny clip of Dave Rubin, and then I'll be like, oh shit, I gotta see that shit. And then I watch that clip. It's not as if we have all these same exact moments queued up, kind of shit. I could be reading too much into it, but it really seems like they have the same shit over and over again.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This independent series is made entirely possible thanks to our patrons. It was produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Bohem, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demmel, and Words Greenwood. Not to mention all the other patrons who now see on screen. We couldn't have done this show without you. If you can help support the show, please check out patreon.com/the Serfs to unlock bonus secret episodes as well as get the content before anyone else.